We just had the opportunity of a lifetime when we went into the Gaza Strip and spent time on the Philadelphi Corridor. We saw the city of Rafah, IDF operations in Gaza, the Egyptian border, and the Gaza Beach up close. We also heard firsthand about the hundreds of tunnels that have been discovered running underneath the Philadelphi Corridor, many of them into Egypt, and how if Israel withdraws from this road, it will lead to certain defeat for the IDF in this war with Hamas. While we unfortunately can't show and tell you everything that we experienced while we were in Gaza, the following is some of the footage that we can show, along with our story of what we saw and heard firsthand. Let's just say what you're about to see and hear is shocking.
So basically what you're looking at right here is the Gaza border fence. The fence here is the fence that on October 7th, when the terrorists came through, this is the fence that they would have busted through.
You can see the pipe that brought in basically supplies for cement for 20 years into Gaza over there on the left. Thankfully, it's not running right now.
What you're looking at here is Rafah. This is the town that you hear in the Western news called Rafah. It's pretty well demolished.
This is the area that pocketed all throughout here. They're smuggling stuff in through tunnels from Egypt into Gaza.
It's also where the 6 hostages that were just murdered were at. They were right here in this.
It's also estimated that you're potentially looking at where the remaining hostages are.
Yeah,
They
said they believe most of the remaining hostages were in Rafah.
This is the humanitarian staging area where all the hundreds and hundreds of trucks of supplies that come in every single day. The humanitarian aid is staged right here. You can see, even though it's the end of the day, there's hundreds of pallets back there in the background just sitting. Just so much food probably going to waste.
This right here is what's unbelievable. Talk about aid and talk about how the world's continually saying we need to bring aid, we got to bring aid. This is what you're looking at right here. This is the aid center. This is where it all comes to. More than 200 trucks every day is coming to that exact point you're looking at.
And they told us, not only that, they know for a fact that these trucks are going straight in. When they get there, Hamas takes them over. They take what they want. And then most of the time they're taking the leftovers and selling that to the Gazans.
The aid that's coming there all comes from, about 80% of it anyway, comes from the border of Gaza. So these are the actual areas like Be'eri, Kfar Aza. You'd recognize these names because these are the villages that they attacked on October 7th.
Just let that sink in, okay? Hamas entered Israel on October 7th and ravaged 3 or 4 small communities along the Gaza border in Israel, killing over 1,200 people. Those same communities, the food that's being grown and packaged and organized there in those same communities is now going back into Gaza as humanitarian aid. It's getting seized by Hamas, and then possibly some of it is being sold at high prices to the civilians of Gaza.
I just can't even imagine being those farmers and being like, everything that you're growing is going to the guys literally that came through and butchered your families less than a year ago.
So the main thing that we had an opportunity to see while we were in Gaza was the Philadelphi Corridor, which obviously is in the news just a lot right now. The world is pressuring Israel to withdraw from this corridor. The corridor runs east to west. It is on the very southern border of Gaza, and if you drive from the east to the west, you'll have the Egyptian border within like 100 yards on your left-hand side. And as you get a little bit down the corridor, you see the city of Rafah, which everyone knows was the very last stronghold of Hamas. It's now been conquered by Israel, but there's still Hamas terrorists there. They're estimating that some of the hostages are in tunnels underneath Rafah, possibly even Yahya Sinwar. Since we went into Gaza, a report has come out that Sinwar actually was planning to escape through the tunnels underneath the Philadelphi Corridor into Egypt with all 20 of the remaining alive hostages, taking them with him. As you've seen from our time in Gaza, the people of Israel, and especially Israel's soldiers, need your prayers right now. That's why it's exciting to introduce you to this beautiful book. It's called Stand By Me, Hebrew Prayers for All Believers. Now, I opened, this is traditional Hebrew prayers, but adapted for any believers, whether Christian or Jewish. And I opened the book and I found the first 4 prayers right in the front of the book are psalms for times of trouble or distress, which is absolutely what Israel needs right now. So this beautiful and amazing book takes the rich heritage of Hebrew prayer and makes it accessible for everyone, regardless of your background or level of knowledge. Inside there's 43 powerful prayers in the original Hebrew. It also has English, and it also has transliteration. So whether you want to pray the prayers in Hebrew or pray them in English, or even if you don't speak Hebrew and you want to read the transliteration of Hebrew, this book is perfect for that. So each prayer is tailored for a specific life situation, from heartfelt prayers for healing and health to uplifting prayers for times of difficulty and everything in between. Whether you're seeking protection, praying for Israel, expressing gratitude, or asking for strength, Stand By Me has a prayer for you. Don't let another day pass without experiencing the amazing power of Hebrew prayer. You can click the link in the description below to get your copy of Stand By Me and begin a new journey in your prayer life today. Just click that link in the description below to order your copy today.
This huge sand berm here to protect the vehicles going down that corridor, because there's still terrorists right over there in those houses.
Yeah, there's still Arabs, right?
There's still Arabs
there in those houses.
Literally, they gave us a briefing before we went in, and they said, listen, if somebody starts shooting at us with RPGs or guns, whatever, you guys go to the south side of the truck.
Right.
So that, because obviously we're not armed, we're just coming in to see what's happening here.
Right.
And they said, we'll take care of business, and then we'll keep going.
Probably the craziest thing that happened to us is there was actually a massive explosion that was just a couple hundred meters away from basically on the northern side of the corridor. At first, we were told it might have been a tank shooting at a building in Rafah, and then they found out this was actually a controlled demolition of one of the terrorist hubs inside of Rafah that they had, conquered, and then they were destroying this building, but they blew it up right as we were driving by, and the smoke that you're seeing above this sand berm is from that explosion right there.
You see how big this infrastructure is. Imagine going inside of there to try to rescue hostages.
But I can imagine, this is the Philadelphi Corridor right here, what you're looking at right here. I can't imagine Israel not controlling this.
No.
Can you, it just blows my mind that anybody would think that Israel shouldn't control this. You're talking about terrorists here. Mm-hmm. These are murderers. These are murderer monsters that came in on October 7th and literally, it's worse than animal. It's monstrous what they did on October 7th. And now you're wanting to, there's talk of people that are wanting to give in to their demands. What, you're negotiating with terrorists? That's insane.
Destruction. All the trucks and equipment you see have to do with Israel probing for tunnels every 22, 23 feet. They're digging with almost looks like an oil rig type of device. They're probing for tunnels because they've discovered 200, and they think there's another 40 or 50 that have yet to be discovered, all underneath the Philadelphi Corridor. Many of them going directly into Egypt.
And this is what they're talking about. This section right here is what they're talking about giving back to Hamas in a deal. That's not a deal.
So as you can see, the Egyptian border is just feet away from the corridor, the Philadelphi Corridor, maybe 20 feet to the south here. And those guard towers and lights you're seeing over that fence, that's the Egyptian army. That's how close they are to Gaza and to the IDF and to Hamas.
The other super cool thing as you're watching this is Israel has no intention of giving this up.
No.
Why would they pave it? It's a good point.
Yeah.
They're not giving this thing up. They're playing politics right now. Of course, that's what they have to work within the means that they have and try to work with the world.
That was crazy. Egypt right there.
The Egyptian watchtower, watching every move that they make. Yeah. But Israel can't lose this. This is insane. The only reason why anybody would talk about it is because it's a political situation, and they're trying to it's not real. It's certainly not real. They cannot give this up. There's no circumstance in which they would be able to give this up.
Right. Which I would say, just pausing this again here on this deal, you're not only dealing with terrorists on the Hamas side. This whole war was straight from Egypt. Mm-hmm. So you have a massive terror infrastructure from Egypt that funded this and fueled this whole war. So for Israel to give up this border is basically allowing the entire world to funnel whatever they want to right back into here and give it 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, you have the same thing on your hands. You got exactly the same story over again.
Solution in my mind is you not only hold the Philadelphi Corridor, that ain't enough. You got to hold all of Gaza.
Yeah.
You got to hold the whole thing. Israeli communities have to be built there. That's how you keep presence there. This can't be allowed to just be let loose again to become another. I mean, look, we got terrorist structure all over Israel. We have Jenin and Nablus and Shechem and all these places that are terror hotbeds. It can't happen. This has to be finished. This is not a long-term good situation for Israel. Israel has to rid the terror beds from the entire country.
Yep.
And that's what is beginning to happen in Gaza. It's got to be pushed all the way through. And this what they're doing there has to be carried out through all of Israel. What country in the world would accept to have terror beds in their country? I mean, most countries these days have them. But as soon as that terror bed wakes up, you better believe there's going to be war. And then they're going to finish them. Nobody's going to be like capitulating to terror beds in their country. No. Anybody that thinks Israel should is out of their mind. You can't. That's not, your country can't exist by this way, accepting the fact that you just have to, it's just a way of life now. We have terror beds all over our country. No, Israel, just like any other country, has to rid the terrorist infrastructure from within the entire country, not just Gaza, all over Judea and Samaria, and honestly, all over Israel proper. There's tons of terror beds all over this country, and all of them will be, thank God, the wars will when it's won, real success would be taking out all these terror beds across all of Israel.
Like we said, Gaza is not very wide at all, and you can see the Egyptian border on the left-hand side and some palm trees, but like we're at the beach, right? And Gaza's beaches are some of the most beautiful in all of Israel, and they know that because like it's very fine, deep sand here. So even though you can see beautiful sand with the Egyptian border right here, we're now at the beach of the southern tip of Gaza with the border of Egypt right now. And it was actually beautiful because we just kind of accidentally arrived there right at sunset, and you can see the amazing, beautiful Israeli flag flying right there on the Gaza-Egyptian border at a beach in Gaza. And the IDF was manning, posts right here on the beach. It was just amazing to see that Israel is being victorious. They are conquering, they are winning this war, and they will continue to win.
All right, guys, so Mediterranean Sea right behind me. We're taking off from back on the Philadelphia Corridor back to base. This is the Egyptian border right here beside me, and we're back driving down the Philadelphia Corridor, where that's estimated some 200 tunnels still exist underneath us right now. That's wild. Going where? Right into Egypt. That's what's ridiculous. People have no earthly idea that this whole thing is being funneled by Egypt right on the other side of this border. The tunnels are going straight from Egypt, straight into Rafah, straight into the rest of Gaza. And this is the reality of what's happening right now. Everything you see, that skyline right on the other side of this fence, is all Egypt. Really an unreal experience to come and see it for myself, to be able to be here and see what's going on here. Unbelievable.
Take anything away from our time in Gaza, let it be this. Withdrawing from the Philadelphi Corridor will only allow Hamas to rearm, escape, possibly taking hostages with them, and reorganize, which will only make this war last longer, possibly years or even decades longer. Total victory over Hamas is the only path forward for Israel. It's the best plan for seeing hostages come home, and the only way to ensure that Hamas will be completely eradicated. Guys, don't forget to pick up your copy of Stand By Me, Hebrew Prayers for All Believers. Just click that link in the description below. Remember to tune out the fake news and the propaganda. We'll be back soon here at the Israel Guys.